Stirring the coffee with massively huge chopsticks, using big chopstick energy, using the vortex method, the only true way to optimize the taste of your coffee at the molecular level. Good morning. Welcome to the Daybreak Show. I am the Sultan. We'll get started. But first, Honduran coffee. Excellent. Made cowboy coffee style. So here's my observations. I make coffee with all the different methods. Everything. Every method. You should see my countertop. I have every device. And I will say the coffee method, the coffee brewing method that has the most flavor is cowboy coffee and French press. They are very, very similar as far as flavor is concerned. There is someone's doing laps in the house here. Usually happens at about this time. Cowboy coffee, which is just boiling the crap out of your coffee, but not burning it. And French press. Magnificent. And then when I'm done making it, I pour my first cup and then I put another one into a thermal mug, like a travel mug, so it doesn't get cold, number one. Number two, like with some of the other methods, if your coffee you have your first cup of coffee and your coffee is sitting in a percolator, literally 20 minutes later, by the time I'm ready for my second cup of coffee, it's not the same coffee. It just tastes burnt. Same thing with any drip method. If it's just sitting on that heater plate, it just comes across as being burnt, and it's not as good as the first cup. I know there are some drip coffee makers that drip right into a thermal carafe. That's probably the closest thing to what I would think is decent for a drip coffee blend. But after I was raised, well, first of all, I was raised on percolator on the stove. Percolator on the stove wasn't even a plug-in. It was on the stove. And I've tried all the methods. Pour through. We went from percolator to a Melita style pour through kind of thing when I was growing up. Did that in college. Always had a percolator. I always had a stainless steel Farberware percolator, which I like. It's good to make coffee if you're going to make it for 2 or more people. But if it's going to sit, it just comes across as being burnt. And that's pretty nasty. The society that separates its scholars from its warriors will have its thinking done by cowards and its fighting by fools. That was Thucydides. The society that separates its scholars from its warriors will have its thinking done by cowards and its fighting by fools. What does that mean to you? Put your answer down below. I'd like to see what you think that means. What is your interpretation of that? I have my interpretation of that. And I think that's what's happening today. There is a separate thinking class, and then there is the class of people that are subject to the thinking class, who think that their ways are better. Hence these weird laws that we have, and these weird things that get passed by government. Strange, very strange. This government it seems like it's of the Congress. It's not of the people anymore in the United States. They don't represent us. They are not us. It's a separate class of people. They're not even human. They're weird. They're alien. I look at what comes out of Washington, D.C., and I scratch my bald spot and think, what the heck are they thinking? It's weird. Anything interesting going on today? Been hearing some buzz, but I don't know what it's about. So here I am at 60 years old, and I had a massive wake-up call in my 50s. And when I look back at the first time that happened, I really had to rethink things. Now, I'm a very fluid plastic, and when I say plastic, bendable, flexible type of thinking person. I can adapt to things pretty darn quick. I'm not stuck in my ways. And I think that is a sign of youth, definitely. One of the signs that aging is creeping up is the calcification of thought, where you get stuck. You ever hear people say, well, they're stuck in their ways. I can adapt to things literally in less than a day and make them normal. I've had to with many changes in my life. One of the first wake-up calls that I ever had was in my 50s. I'm working at a salon, and they closed the salon, I forget, it might have been like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, but they closed the salon on Saturday, 3 or 4 days ahead of time, because a big snowstorm was coming, and it did come. But they started rescheduling people for the next week. They closed the salon ahead of time. They said, we will be closed on Saturday because of the storm. At that point, I was being warned ahead of time that I will be losing a day of income because of that. And I started thinking, I have to snowstorm-proof my income. That was thrown at me. I just don't ever remember an establishment being closed ahead of time for a snowstorm. If the snowstorm came and some people ventured in, then I did a handful of people for the day and maybe spent a little bit longer time with them. And it was nice. Everybody was bundled up and wearing boots and whatever, but they'd come in and shake the snow off themselves and still get the service that they need. But we shut down ahead of time. And I thought to myself, okay, this is the first time that my income was planned to be stopped. Second time that happened, the second time it was the construction, the gas or water lines on the street in 2 blocks in each direction, and there was no parking for 2 blocks. And that cut off walk-in traffic. And then, no, that was the gas line. And then there was the water line that they put on the street that had to be repaired. There was a water main break or something like that. And the salon had to close because you need to have running water to operate a salon. So literally that was 2 or 3 days of the salon not being open. And I started seeing things that can come in between me and my income. And I never remember it being like that when I was younger. And it was frustrating as a man to not be able to do that. And that was my kick in the pants to create online income for myself. And that's when I started my YouTube channel. And that's when I started creating what I call quit your job money. And then I started seeing people getting kicked off of YouTube and blocked and banned because of their message. And I thought, well, when did a person's thoughts become a thing that can come in between you and your income? Well, YouTube proved that to be true. And I'm looking at all the things, the roadblocks to revenue. And then COVID came, which you already know what my thoughts are about that. And the state that I live in closed all businesses. Everything closed. 3.5 months. 3.5 months of zero income. Because I work in a linear industry. Scissors move, money comes in. Scissors don't move, money doesn't come in. It's not like a salaried job where you can, well, I'll just work remotely from home. Clippers and scissors have to be moving. So a lot of things can come in between you and your income. Health issues. You got to get a knee or a hip replaced. You need surgery. You end up with carpal tunnel. Back problems. If you're the type of person that sits in a chair in a cubicle all day long, your body gets sore just from sitting there. What was the thing that I heard a couple of years ago? They say sitting all day at a desk in a cubicle is the equivalent of smoking a pack of cigarettes. Like, wow. So you get the ergonomic chair. What can you do? And I've adapted. That's why I said I'm very adaptable. And I've done okay every time something was thrown at me. Some by Mother Nature, some by an overreaching, oppressive government. And I've dodged bullets. And I've never been a 9-to-5 guy. I was for a while, but it just didn't fit me. A couple decades of doing job kind of stuff, 8-to-4, 9-to-5 kind of stuff. You do that for a couple decades and you either take security in that, like, yeah, I got my 9-to-5, my Monday through Friday, and then I'm the guy that just scratches my head and I think, like, what the heck is life all about? You work 9-to-5. What do they say? The 40-40 plan. You work 40 hours a week for 40 years, then you retire for 6 to 9 years, and then you die. Everyone I know who has retired, I've watched them just go to shit. Everybody. Mentally. With television. Doing stupid tasks around the house. Repetitive stuff. And I just watch everyone just mentally get smaller as they retire. That bothers me. I watched it happen with people in my family. You just get mentally smaller and your world gets real small as you get old. And that's a choice. That is an absolute choice. I remember my grandparents. Paternal grandparents. They always seemed old. Their world always seemed small. They never left their town. They never left their house. Their little plot of land was it. That was their world. God, if I could go back to even before they got old. But those patterns are set when you're young. You need something disruptive in your life, disruptive, to change you, to change the trajectory. You're going to keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same result. What is the largest hospitality company in the world? Marriott? Hilton? Holiday Inn? Airbnb. And they don't own one single brick or 1 acre of land. Yet they are the largest hospitality company in the world. What is the largest transportation company that doesn't own a single vehicle? Uber. Remember when, like, a taxi company or a company that has a fleet, Uber, doesn't have a single car in their possession. Uber. Hey, psh, what you doing? Uber doesn't have a single car. If you don't have pets, don't get just one pet, get 2, because they do keep themselves entertained. And I think pets live longer and have better lives if you have more than one. Minimum of 2. I'm a firm believer in that. You have to think differently about your life, about your income. I work part-time at a government job where the only conversation is when they're going to retire. That's all they ever talk about. 7 years and 6 months to go. Come on, man. That's all they ever talk about is when they're going to retire. They never talk about quality of work. It's about when they're going to retire and what benefits they're going to have. What kind of life is that? Holy cow. I remember 10 years ago, and I wrote this, I logged this down. I said, snowstorm coming in the Northeast. Income will come to a virtual standstill for most service providers. This was before a very big storm. But billing will continue. Your credit card, your cable, your cell phone, car payment if you have one, they will not be taking a break because of a snowstorm. Why not get involved in something that provides an income stream regardless of the weather report, regardless of construction, regardless of a virus, regardless of the tyrannical state? That would be a great idea, now wouldn't it? Here's something a little bit different. As a guy that frequented a lot of bars and clubs and biker bars and music venues, and hung out with a lot of people drinking and eating and getting loaded and listening to music and dancing. This made me laugh a little bit. She danced, she sang, she didn't play piano, she pounded it. She was always dancing with strangers. She would go up to some unsuspecting guy and pull him out of his chair, and he would say, "But I don't know how to dance." And she would reply, "Well, you're about to learn, honey." That was by Jeanette Walls from the book Half Broke Horses. And with that, finish your coffee, and I'll see you tomorrow on the Daybreak Show, your home of sanity, clarity, and reason.